Welcome YouTube to another Narrative Crusades video. Today, Necron game-changing enhancements. I thought this was actually going to be quite a short video. It turns out that the sheer combinations are huge and far-reaching. I think some of them might be tournament winning, but it's probably too soon to tell. However, what is clear, a lot of them are good fun. Notices, as always, our campaign pack is wrapping up soon. We are writing our first campaign for 10th. You will be able to get involved in that, whether you are Patreon or not. The more, the merrier. A quick shout out to our Patreons once again. Thank you this month. We will be doing our draw soon, and we are still giving away that little Warhound tucked away in the corner. Apparently only 1,100 points now. Very usable in a 40k battle. The Necron Index cards are amazing. I'm still finding different combinations of units I would like to run together. I'm still finding fun combos all over the place. I think reanimations are probably a little bit too strong. I'm expecting a little bit of a tap back there soon. But you know what? They've been brilliant fun so far. On to the enhancements. The first one, a good old Veil of Darkness, has changed slightly in that we take a unit off at the end of our opponent's turn and then put it back on in our reinforcement step. Standard 9 inches away. Worth noting that does mean that we will miss out on our reanimations for that turn. The Hypermaterial Ablator, a little bit of a strange name, gives us stealth. That means we have the benefits of cover over 12 inches and we're at -1 to be shot. The Sovereign Coronal is an aura. It's expensive at 30 points, but every single unit nearby counts as being led. That means you're getting +1 to hit, and it's not limited to certain types of unit. It's any Necron unit. That means it's going to be very useful in your Doomsday arcs or on our towering tripedal walkers and our ghost arcs. Anything like that with a lot of guns that otherwise couldn't be led can now get +1 to hit and benefit from any enhancements on the actual stratagem. This Septermal Weave is a very, very interesting looking change to the Necron options, giving us a 4+ feel no pain ability, which means that we might be able to make a unit a little bit more buffy. Right, on the table, starting with our nobles, what do we have? A non-noble anymore, the Royal Warden. He's been repurposed. He can't fall back and shoot anymore. Bit of a shame. He can only lead immortals and warriors, but it does mean that the warriors are going to get a pretty decent buff if he gets their heavy on there, because it means they'll hit on 2s. The immortals will hit on 2s anyway because they're being led. His Veil of Darkness could be quite useful if we decide to put that on him. If we're deciding for some reason to take a warrior blob with a bunch of the longer range Gauss weapons, then that does mean that they're going to be heavy. They're going to be hitting on 2s, so 3s, 2s. So could be some potential there with him, with the heavy combo and the +1 from being led. Do we want the Sovereign Coronal on him? In that instance, we might decide that we actually want to have that. I can't see why we would want to give him a 4+ feel no pain. I think that only in certain builds are we going to take this. Again, probably more of a fun one than anything else. The Scorpec Lord, he's got a bit of a better profile in some ways. Comparatively, the fact that he's got 8 attacks or 4 attacks with that sweep profile is quite nice. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the lethal hits. Good old Veil of Darkness on the Scorpec Destroyer unit could be very helpful, but we haven't got +1 to charge anymore. There's no way of giving them that I'm aware of, so we're going to still need to roll a 9. But it gives you that global threat and that redeploy option that could be quite useful. -1 to be hit at over 12 inches is going to be very helpful. They are going to try and shoot at our Scorpecs. I'm not so sure about the idea of a 6-inch aura to lead unless you're going to be running across the board with an army of destroyers, in which case it probably would be quite useful. And the 4+ feel no pain is very viable, considering he has an invulnerable save. He doesn't have that many wounds, though, at only 6. There's no damage reduction on him. There's no way of really giving him damage reduction. There's a lot of ways of killing him in one round of combat. Toughness 7 is not huge. A lot of things are going to be wounding him on 3s that we're worried about. So that said, at 10 points, if there's nothing else to put it on, and we've got 10 points floating around at the end spare, very good choice. Moving on to the Locust Lord. The Veil of Darkness, probably not needed. I don't know why we'd want to remove our gunboats around. However, they are definitely going to be shooting at our Locust destroyers. So giving them stealth could be very powerful. Again, we're probably going to be floating them at mid to long range. So the 6-inch aura with our backfield could be quite helpful. And a fold plus feel no pain is pretty useless because it's got 5 plus feel no pain. Anyway, the Little Lord. The Little Lord is 20 points cheaper than a normal Lord. He has 1 less attack. He doesn't get the free strat and he doesn't have an invulnerable save. So if you can find the 20 points, you're probably not going to be taking this chap anyway. However, all of the actual enhancements are worth looking at, bar the 4 plus feel no pain. The redeploy on a unit can be very good for trying to steal an objective or redeploy something away from something that we're hiding from, such as a close combat unit if we need to make some space. The idea of giving a larger blob of immortals or warriors -1 to be hit is never going to be particularly unattractive. It will reduce the damage they're taking. And the aura to lead could be useful, again, depending on the situation. The Catacomb Command Barge. I'm not sure what's happening here. The Lord's got on a chariot so that everyone in the world can shoot at him. He doesn't have Lone Warrior. He doesn't have a particularly great defensive profile. He has 9 wounds and a 4-up and vulnerable save. This chap is 180 points if you decide to put the Sovereign Coronal on him. I'm thinking that that's going to be far too expensive. I'm not convinced that this is going to be something we're going to take a great deal. If we do, we're probably going to want to give him a 4 plus feel no pain so that he stays alive long enough to do something useful. The Overlord. He's the NECRONAUGHT. He's -1 damage. If we give him a 4 plus feel no pain as well with a 4-up invulnerable save, he's going to be quite tanky. Damage 2 weapons obviously go down to damage 1. You're ignoring half of them from your invulnerable save. He's got a 2-up save. So little plinky attacks aren't going to hurt him anyway. And on top of that, a 4-up feel no pain is not bad. However, that does mean that somehow they've killed all your other models anyway in order to start slapping him in the face. So something might have gone wrong for you to actually have to be using his 4-up feel no pain. The Sovereign Coronal is a good shout. Again, you could put him next to a couple of units and then suddenly they all count as being led. Again, the Hypermetal Ablator is a good idea in terms of just protecting and offering some more support to that unit, particularly if it's a large unit of Necron warriors. They're going to have to get shot at a lot to kill them. You're going to be using the free strat to add models back on. What can make it worse than that if they're having to roll even higher to even hit you in the first place? The Veil of Darkness is a good option for him in some ways, but I just think at this point we have to accept there's better uses for it than that. The old Technomancer, the call-out guy, because he can repair our vehicles when they get damaged. I think there's a bit of a debate at the moment between him and another character that we will look at shortly for the Sovereign Coronal. There's a little bit of a points difference and there's a little bit of a usage difference. But the fact that he can sit back with 2 Doomsday Arcs, because no one's going to take 3, with 2 Doomsday Arcs, he's given them +1 to hit because they count as being led, and he's repairing them, and he gets the lone operative word. Well, that means that he can even keep pace with them if they need to move because he's got a movement of 10. So you can't shoot him. He's giving them bonuses and he's repairing them. Pretty useful. We might add him to a unit and use the Veil of Darkness. That could even go on to perhaps Lich Guard if we decided to get them across the board a little bit faster. And the Hypermaterial Ablator is maybe there. I feel it's got some valid uses, but again, maybe not. Psychomancer. I think there's just better uses across the board. If we're going to take him, then everything is kind of okay, except for the Septurnal Weave, for very similar reasons to the Technomancer, to be fair. The Chronomancer, because we can shoot after we've moved with the Veil of Darkness quite reliably, he might be really useful with a large blob of warriors with Reapers. Because they've got 12-inch assault weapons, we can Veil of Darkness, shoot, and then we're allowed to move. So there's some possibility here that we could sneak in some objective stealing capacity, or depending on our tactical objectives, we might be able to achieve something we just otherwise wouldn't be able to achieve. Again, He has some use with the Sovereign Coronal, depending on what units we put him in, and I'm not again sure on the other two. There's no point giving him the Hypermateria Ablator, because he pretty much does that anyway, so you're just wasting points. It turns out that Edward Pistolhands is actually a role model. You can give him the Sovereign Coronal, and then you can put him with your Doomsday Arcs or other shooty units that you want to be firing across the board. He's a rival for the Technomancer. He is slightly more expensive. He does, however, have a useful offensive profile. So I'm not quite, and he also has the inbuilt lone operative, so you can't shoot him either, just like you can't shoot the Technomancer once you give him the Spider's Cloak. So the two of them are pretty rivalrous. I really like the fact that he shoots back, I'm going to be honest, because if something deep strikes in your back line and he's nearby and he can shoot them, and then if they shoot at your Doomsday Arcs, he can shoot them again, and then if they shoot at your Doomsday Arcs, he can shoot at them again. So I actually kind of like the fact that he has that don't come near me kind of attitude, or I'm going to get upset and shoot you with all my pistols. So I think I prefer him, but the jury is out. Technically, you can do this at the moment. He is a character. It doesn't say you can't. You really shouldn't, but I think you can. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should you? Can you? Will you? I don't know. I'm not going to. Right, overall, the Overlord, our new Dreadnought character. I'm definitely giving it a Septurnal Weave. It's definitely loads of fun. It's definitely dirt cheap. It's definitely worth doing. The Technomancer and the Hexmark Destroyer fighting it out for the Sovereign Coronal there. It is 30 points. It is quite expensive. I'm probably going to put it on the Hexmark Destroyer because I like the fact that he's going to shoot at you. And then I think that unfortunately the Hypermateria Ablator might be a little bit too expensive to go on some units. It is a nice buff on our warriors. Beyond that, I'm not really convinced. And the Transcendent Catan, it will be interesting to see if that gets errated. If it doesn't soon, maybe it is legit. All right, thank you again for everyone's support. We have really appreciated it. We've been flying up in subscribers, and we can't say how much that means to us. Let me know what other combinations you think I've missed out. Let me know where you disagree. Leave some comments. Tell me I'm stupid. I've missed things out. Whatever else, I don't absolutely mind at all. Or if you've used things on the table and found that they've been really, really useful. And finally, what other videos would you like to see from us? Thank you again. Goodbye.